It's another live video. Today, as you have seen from the thumbnails, the title of the vlog, actually giving you another live today evening because I realized that I have a lot of things to share with you guys, but it wouldn't be fair to just wait for my trip to Rwanda, then start pumping out information. I don't think that is pretty good otherwise. But I hope you guys are having a good evening, and I hope you are going through the grieving period of Mzee Moi. Now, why am I talking about Mzee Moi right now? What is on my mind? I've been doing a lot of research. But anyway, I hope you are going through the grieving period of Baba pretty well. I've been talking to a couple of you guys in Nairobi. I have a lot of friends right now in Nairobi. It is really bad, but it is not bad that people are being hurt or something like that. But it is bad that we have a fallen soldier right now, a person who championed African politics, not only from within Kenya, but throughout the whole of East Africa. It is absolutely sad, but it is the absolute reality. We have to cope with it. And I hope that, wherever you're watching this from, we just continue praying for him so that his soul rests in eternal peace. But you guys, I'm finally back in Kampala, Uganda. I've been here now for, I think, can I say 24 hours officially? Is it 24 hours? I think it is 24 hours already. That is a day. And I'm trying to cop back into the system. It's quite hard, believe it or not. It's quite hard, especially if you're quite used to the hustle and bustle of Nairobi. And you guys know me, I'm a pretty strong man when it comes to a couple of things. But Nairobi is something else. Nairobi can just take you on a very, 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 very high speed, believe it or not. But I'm pretty happy that, regardless of the fact that I'm back, I'm trying to copy in, copy out. It is quite hard. I've been used a lot to matatus. Here we don't have matatus and we have taxis, the smaller versions. And in Nairobi, I was not taking a lot of borders, but in Kampala, I take a lot of borders. So I'm just trying to catch up, copy up. Things here are quite slow, especially for the kind of work I'm doing, being a content creator. So things are quite slow. I just spent the whole day almost doing research about Mzee, Alaira Odinga, and yeah, just taking a lot of you guys back in Nairobi. And yeah, I'm just trying to, merge in a little bit. It's still quite hard, but I'm definitely sure that I'll definitely catch up. Because I'm here for only 2 weeks before I travel to Kigali, then from Kigali come back over there. But regardless, today, as you have seen from the thumbnails, the title of the vlog, since I was in Nairobi, I think since I was in Kenya, because now there are two versions of this. I want to do a video about differences between Uganda and Kenya, but also I want to do differences between Kampala and Nairobi, because they are like the main cities of both of our countries. But regardless, I want to start up from the differences between Uganda and Kenya. So Uganda and Kenya are two different countries. Yeah, they are two different countries, obviously, with Nairobi being the main city of Kenya and Kampala being the main city of Uganda. Now, first thing I want to just mention is that Kampala is within the central bit of the country. And I was very surprised that Nairobi was not in the central bit of the country, that there is a central bit of the country, but it's just because maybe being Uganda and it just confused me a little bit, something like that. But yeah, that is actually the first difference. Kampala is in the city center, the central bit of the country, which is the central part of Uganda. But Nairobi is actually not in the central part of the country. Yeah, the second thing I want to talk about, guys, it is the geography of both of these places. Now, being in Nairobi and also having grown up in Kampala, Uganda, growing up, we always knew that Uganda is a landlocked country, but now, have traveled to Nairobi, I really see the impact of being a landlocked country. When you're in school, you really, really don't know the difference because, you hear people talk about that Uganda is a landlocked country and Kenya is not a landlocked country and receive most of our things, especially things coming in from China and Japan as Uganda via the ports in Mombasa, in Tanzania. When you are quite younger in school, it is something that you don't pay a lot of attention to. But when you get a chance to actually visit, for example, Kenya, and you have been in Uganda for a very long time, that is when you vividly see the difference, that Kenya is quite developed, and most of the development is linked a lot to it having its own ports, its own access to the main sea, where they can just bring in, not everything they want, but obviously trade gets a little bit easy compared to us here in Uganda, who have to make sure that again we go through other ports to make sure that we get whatever we get in. Maybe the other thing that it is still quite hard for me to adapt to, that I'm back in Kampala, Uganda, especially when it comes to that point of, Uganda being a landlocked country and Kenya not being a landlocked country, and it has, the viability, the ability for it to import in whatever it has to import in. It is the prices of things. And I'm not saying this to say that Kampala, the prices are the best, or they are very high, but the truth is our prices here compared to a couple of things in Nairobi, Kenya, they are very high. Like, the prices here are ridiculous. Like, now that I'm here, before I traveled to Nairobi, I wouldn't actually give that difference very, very well. But since now I'm here and looking at the price of a lot of things, especially that come from overseas, like when I reached my place, like yesterday, I had to do a couple of shopping for the 2 weeks I'm going to spend here before I travel to Rwanda. So I had to run a couple of errands. And oh my good Lord, I was like, how I wish I bought this from Nairobi, how I wish I bought this from Naivas. Things here are pretty expensive. Even just shower gel, that thing is going for over, let me see how much in bob. That thing is going for over 2,000 bob for just shower gel. Oh my good Lord. And that is a good brand of shower gel I wanted. So I'm like, no, 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 no. Now the effect, I'm really, really seeing it. But again, Kenyans, most of the time you guys have, or most of the time, say that your things are even very, very expensive. But in Uganda, times two, especially if you are not times two, but actually a little bit higher, especially if you are going for the good brands that are not made in Uganda or made within East Africa. So that is also a very, very big difference that, again, I have to keep on changing money. I used a little bit to Kenyan shillings. Now, for example, today I went out to have lunch out, because whenever I'm at home alone, I don't cook anyway. But I went out to have lunch, and the lady told me that the whole meal would cost me 10,000 Ugandan shillings. And I was like, 10,000 Ugandan shillings? Then I had to remember, 10,000 Ugandan shillings, when you convert it to Kenyan shillings, that is around 300 bob. I was like, oh God, help me, because now I'm becoming Kenyan full time. I'm becoming Kenyan full time. Then at a supermarket trying to check out the few things I had to buy to take me within these 2 weeks before I leave home. And the lady told me it's about 45,000 Ugandan shillings. And again, my mind was not comprehending. I had to first of all put it in Kenyan shillings, do the math so that I don't. So it is just adaptability, but really, really the difference is really, 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 really so huge. So that is the first point I really wanted to share when it comes to the difference between Uganda and Kenya. It's a lot. And also, having traveled through a bus from Nairobi to Kampala, the landscape, oh my good Lord, I dream it for every person. The journey is not so easy. I don't want to lie you that the journey is easy on that bus, because you'll hear that your legs, we call it in Luganda, we say amagulu gamfamba. Magulu gamfamba to say, it means that you hear your legs, like your legs, they have a heartbeat. Magulu gakufamba. So the journey is not easy for the bus, because it is not easy. That is it, regardless of the fact that they tell you that it has a lot of smanya leg room. They are going to give you water to soothe your throat. We shall reach there in 12 hours. They are lying you. They are lying you, especially for us who travel during the peak of the death of Muzee. They are really, really just lying you. Just know you are in for a ride. But one thing you are going to enjoy, it is the scenery. Oh my good Lord, Kenya has good, beautiful scenery, especially around the Rift Valley area. Now, because we approached most of those places during night, this time around while I was coming back to Kampala, mind you, the first time I was traveling to Nairobi, I experienced most of it during day. But Kenya has beautiful, like you can see beautiful roads meander in and out. A lot of tea. There is an area where we reach and they are just like doing a lot of flower farming. Oh God, oh guys, it's amazing. Kenya looks beautiful, especially around the Rift Valley area, where there is Kericho, Eldoret, Nakuru. All those places look bomb class. And I'm not saying that we also don't have bomb class things here in Kampala. We do have, but I'm just saying that the difference when it comes to the landscape, it is quite different. It is really, really quite different. Here we have Mount Renzoli, and it has a couple of, amazing sceneries, especially as you approach it. That is in Western Uganda, but also Kenya. They have Mount Kenya and the surrounding kind of the way how the world has revolved, and it is just beautiful. It is just beautiful. It's a difference, but I wouldn't actually, relate it to it a lot before I traveled to Kenya. Not until I traveled to Kenya and saw all those beautiful sceneries that I can basically articulate how beautiful it is. The next point I want to talk about when it comes to the differences now that I traveled to Kenya and lived there for almost 3 months, it is the culture. Oh my good Lord. Coming from Uganda and specifically coming from the central bit of the country where African traditional society still rules, like African traditional society. If you have been to school and you did, we did African traditional society in what? In CRE, Christian religious education. We did it in East African history, and people who did South African history. There's a bit of African traditional society. So Uganda, and basically the central bit of the country, we still live a lot. Still quite hard, for us, especially when we are relating to new cities like, Nairobi or generally Kenya. So it is still, something I really want to dive deeper into, especially when I come back, but it was really different. And this is how it was different. Now, in Uganda, we have over 40 tribes and we speak over 65 languages. But just imagine the shock, even before actually I tell you like how many tribes Kenyans have and all that. But just imagine the shock on my life, or the shock of my life, coming from a country where we are speaking over 65 languages, and going into a country where they speak Swahili consistently. I remember I was with Gabriel's kids. If you don't know Gabriel is my good friend from Nairobi, Kenya, and he hosted me for the period of time I was actually there. And within all that period of time, I interacted with his kids. They were teaching me Swahili. Guys, even the young kids, like you can find a young kid at the gate and they only speak Swahili. Sasa, poa, sasa, poa. Like the youngest kid, you will never hear any other language. The only place I heard of any other language, it was actually in Kiambu. It was actually in Kiambu. People in Kiambu only speak Gikuyu. They don't speak any other. Okay, they speak Swahili, but they don't speak any other language. Except Gikuyu, at least from me being there, because I remember when I went to Kiambu and I was hosted by a good friend Tiongo. Tiongo always spoke Kikuyu to his friends when we are out. It was rare for him even to speak Swahili. Maybe he tried to speak Swahili to me because I wanted to learn, but just imagine the shock of my life, being in a country where one language is spoken border to border. Border to border. Mind you, initially, before I traveled to Nairobi, I didn't know that actually also Swahili was our national language, that Uganda also, like the national language is Swahili. But now being in Kenya and really understanding the impact of having one unifying language, I truly understand the depth. I really do understand how important it is to have a unifying language. But for now, I know that also in Kenya, they have over 40 ethnic groups and they speak also a lot of languages. And this is also one other thing I want to mention, guys. The day I was traveling back to Kampala from Nairobi, I was telling this to Wekesa. I was on a live with Wekesa a few minutes ago actually, before I started this live. And the Uber driver who drove me from Feather Estate to CBD, the first thing he did to me was he introduced himself to me as a Kamba. Then I was like, I haven't asked you about your tribe or anything like that, in a very polite way, but obviously I didn't tell him, but I was speaking to myself in my spirit. I was like, why should you tell me that you're a Kamba? Not in a bad way, but I just feel like Kenyans also sometimes they introduce themselves. I don't know why it is disorganizing me, but I hope you can see me. Someone should tell me if you guys can see me or if you guys cannot see me. Just let me know. But I think now you can see me. Yeah. I hope now you can see me. Yes, now you can see me. My internet just jumped off a little bit. I don't know why, but Also, since I'm back in Uganda, things are not as, so I'm trying to adapt. But regardless, actually there are like 5 people watching. Some of them did go off because the internet jumped off. You guys should get used to me. I'm back in Uganda. Systems here work differently. Out of the blue, the internet jumped off. Out of the blue, the internet jumped off. That is Kampala for you. So when you are coming, be ready for everything and anything. Internet just jumps off out of the blue. But where I stopped while I was still telling you the conversation is that that was the first guy from Feather to CBD. He introduced himself to me as a Kamba, which was but it didn't, you know. So from town to Village Market Mall, a Boda Boda guy took me, an Uber Boda Boda guy. He also introduced himself to me Kalenjin. And he told me it's Chelengat. Then I told him, oh, actually, also in Uganda, we named Chelengat because my ICT teacher, I think school was called Chelengat Solomon, Chelengat what? Arnold Chelengat Solomon. Yeah, something like that. And where the whole of this conversation actually originated from to come to this point was that Kenya also has very, very many languages, almost similar to those of Uganda. We have over 65 languages spoken here, but I think also you guys have over the same quantity of languages that are spoken there. And it's absolutely okay because when you look at the main tribes and the main descendants of all these particular tribes, both in Uganda, we have the Bantu and the West Nilers and another group that I usually forget, but we are almost the same people. That's why we have the Luo of Uganda and the Luo of Kenya. We have the Luya of Uganda, we have Luya of Kenya at the border. We have who else? We have a couple of tribes actually we do share here and there. Then also that guy who drove me from Feather Estate all the way to CBD in the morning of 15th, he told me that he can actually understand also Kiganda very well. And also yesterday I was speaking to a friend from the UK who was actually just calling me randomly and was like, you know, when you guys speak Kiganda, I can vividly understand you. So that is also another shocker of my life that I actually added on. You know, when you are in school, they talk about, you know, that Kenya and Uganda migration, but until when you experience it, until when you are in a place where people can vividly say that they understand your language. For example, there are very many occasions that Gabriel told me when I'm speaking Luganda, he can pick a few words. And I'm like, what the hell? You know? So it is absolutely true when it comes to also that particular perspective. But culture-wise, I think I can mention a few tribes. A few tribes in Uganda and a few tribes in Kenya to just give a difference, a perspective, especially the video being a difference between Uganda and Kenya. The first one would be in Uganda, we have the Banyankole, and also here it is ba, ba, ba. In Kenya, it is more of ki, 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 like languages and especially languages. In Uganda, for example, we have the Banyankole, Basoga, Baganda, Batoro, the Basebei, which other tribe, like a couple of them. I'm going to just mention a couple of them. And in Kenya, they have the Kikuyu, which is one tribe that is like known a lot, like in history, while in Uganda here, we study about the Kikuyu, we study about the Luo, we study about the the Great Luo migration. One tribe that I didn't actually know existed, but it actually existed. Quote me right, I didn't know, you know, that it did follow under the Nilotics was the Kamba and the Kalenjins before Mandamano this year of July, because remember, I was supposed to come back to Nairobi in July, but because of the Mandamano, I extended and I came in August. But before that, I didn't know of the Kalenjin. I also didn't know of the Kamba. Also, I knew of the Luya, but I didn't know them as much. But after doing the research and being in Kenya and having met a lot of you guys now, I can be able to vividly, you know some of those tribes. But some of them are descendants of the Bantu, some of them are West Nilers. Also, there is a tribe at the coast of Mombasa. I met someone in a matatu once, and he told me he's from a tribe at the coast of Mombasa, but I forget that tribe. Over which tribe is that? But it's at the coast of Mombasa. For them, they usually do farming. Like their tribe is basically known for farming. But that is some of the differences that I can actually give, especially when it comes to that particular section of the difference between of Uganda and Kenya. The other thing I would love to talk about when it comes to the differences between these two countries, it is actually quite obvious, but I'll just pour on a little bit of light before I go into economy. It has to be the infrastructure. Why not talk about the infrastructure? Guys, the day I arrived in Kampala yesterday, was it yesterday or the other day? Yesterday, and I was looking at our roads, and I was like, no, 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 no way, no way, no way. Because now, if you have been to Nairobi and you come to Kampala, like the impression you might have, it is quite different. And that is why experts or people who are resettling from the states and tourists, when they come to Nairobi first and they come to Kampala, they decide to settle in Nairobi. I did see why. As an African, as an East African, I did see why. Why? Because we landed in Kampala via the Ginger Kampala highway, and I was like, I felt so bad. It was very dusty. The roads are quite very dirty. My good Lord. My good Lord. And I'm not saying this to bash my country, but we need to do better. We need to do better. Coming from Nairobi, I was really disappointed. And we had Kenyans on board. And I was like, what are Kenyans thinking of Kampala? Why did these drivers want to pass this side? Aren't there any other road they can pass in than passing this side? And let me kid you not, we had Kenyans who were traveling to Kampala for the first time. Some of them were going to Namugongo for pilgrimages. Some of them, we are here to see family. And I was like, oh God, I was very ashamed. That's the only thing I hated about that driver. How I wish he passed through another route. That was cleaner. He took us through a route that was really bad. And I was like, oh no, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But he did it. So the infrastructure, when I compare it, especially the horizontal infrastructure, you know already what I'm going to say. Coming from Nairobi, we are not doing so well in infrastructure. We are not. The only infrastructure we are doing well of, it is in the one in the city center. I've seen the roads in the middle of Kampala. They have renovated them. KCCA, Kampala City Council Authority, they have tried to renovate the roads. That is the only thing I've seen in the city center. But those roads leading into the city center, for example, as you see that CBD, now, for example, our CBD, that is where they have done some roads. They have also cut our Nairobi a little bit. They have put on trash boxes and, disposable, where people can deposit trash. But it's not, in all places. I've seen, because that is where I passed through in order to come to my place. So I've seen, and I was like, okay, you are trying to copy a little bit, but we should do better. We should really, really do better. So, but all those roads leading into Kampala, oh no, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. If you have been to Nairobi and you come to Kampala, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Our infrastructure, especially horizontal ones, are still very, very poor. We are passing via a highway that goes via Nambole Stadium there is a slum as you come into Kampala via the Ginger Highway. When you travel here, you will see it by bus. Or when you are here by plane, make sure that any person you meet, you tell them to take you around one of the biggest slum we have in Kampala. But that road was dirty. Mind you, it's an express highway. For example, as you see that express highway, the Mombasa Express Highway, But I looked at this express, it was dirty, It was very dirty, very, very dusty. And I'm wondering, what are these people doing? We're having Kenyans on board. It is their first time. They are seeing how dirty the city is. I was very disappointed. I was really, really very disappointed. Then what other thing? Infrastructure-wise, especially the horizontal one, I think that is my honest opinion. For me, I'm unfiltered. I'm really, really very unfiltered because I need to see us doing better. I'm really unfiltered. I'm not going to call a spoon acid because I want to boycott. So that when Kenyans come visit this country, they find opposite of what I told them. No. There are roads made, but for example, in good neighborhoods, I'll try to do a couple of neighborhoods before I travel to Rwanda or before I come again to Nairobi, because the plan is to travel to Nairobi after the second week. No, around 20th, I believe. Come to Nairobi 20th next month. I'll sure that I record for you a few videos of the neighborhoods. Now, some of these neighborhoods have our minister, in the ages of while he was still a young minister in the ages of Amin and Obote. So some of those areas for them are made. They have roads that are made. The Nakaseros, where the state house is, you'll find that some of those roads are made. The Acacia, where Acacia is, some of those roads are made. But other places, no, we need to do better. And Kampalans who are watching this, we need to do better. Yeah. That was horizontal infrastructure. Vertical infrastructure, I would say that again, Nairobi wins by all means. Nairobi, I don't know, every minute they are building. That is one thing that baffles my mind over and over again. Kenya, you guys are building. I don't know what you are building, but every minute you are building. I was in Kilimani I was in Kilimani in August, I believe. But I went there almost the end of August, almost the end of September. And there is a place we just passed via with Gabriel, and it showed that they are just starting construction. But let me kid you not, I went there again while I was doing Yaya Center. You guys have seen the video if you haven't seen the video. And the building was already up. And I'm like, is this the place we passed? Oh, it's another different place. And the border guy told me these people build every is changing every second, every minute they are building, and they usually work day and night because of the pressure they have to work on in order to keep up with whatever they are keeping up. So again, infrastructure wise, Nairobi wins, especially when it comes to the vertical infrastructure. You guys have very long buildings. Wekesa was asking me, do you guys have a KICC? Do you guys have a KICC in Kampala? I was like, initially, I was like, KICC, was it Wekesa who was asking me? I think it was. I was like, KICC, we don't have a KICC. Actually, it doomed on me that we don't have a building where I go on top to see how Kampala looks. Man, we need to do better. We actually need to do better. I kid you not, we literally need to do better. We need to do better. Because if you have been to Nairobi and come to Kampala, there is that form of frustration. You feel like, no. We don't have you guys right here. Then bring my, look at this mop. How I wish actually I did this live by the balcony. I didn't know. I would have actually done it here. Because here I usually get good Wi-Fi than inside. So let me just bring my ring light so that you can see me very well. We just sit at the balcony. Yeah. Okay, don't look at my what? Don't look at my disposable, my can where I put dirty clothes. Yeah. Okay, so this is the only place I think I have when it comes to good internet. I feel so bad that I'm ashaming my country that even we cannot have good internet. That people are going to be seeing this and they will be like, oh Tanya, you are struggling. I'm struggling. The internet here in Kampala, I don't know, you can pay for monthly Wi-Fi and you can start now just calling these people from Airtel and letting them know that you paid for Wi-Fi. That is a very bad feeling. And I promise you that is the reality of a lot of Ugandans. That is the reality. So I'm very sorry, but we shall have to continue. So someone just asked me, Jemrilo said, Tanya, you look happy. I had read this earlier on, but he asked me why this is like this. The reality is I also don't know. Our roads are just like that. I tell you, Murillo, when I arrived in Kampala, I was like, no way. No way. The dust was so much. Remember that I usually react to a lot of these particular, allergens in air. The dust was so much. It was a lot of red. I didn't really have it at all. I really didn't have it at all. How I wish I actually sat here before I even sat inside. The internet here looks to be pretty good. That's amazing. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, when it comes to the differences between Uganda and Kenya, it has to be tourism. It has to really be tourism. And when it comes to what has been put in place to make sure that good attractions of tourists are attracted towards Kenya. I don't know if that makes some good sense. But Kenya, it's on another level when it comes to tourism. You know, in Uganda here, I usually talk about tourism, but it's not until when you go to Kenya. Now, for example, this last month of the year, they are having a lot of tourists, like a lot. For example, you go to the KICC, you go into the CBD, guys. There are very many tourists, and also Kenya has invested purely and hugely when it comes to tourism, like the the accommodation, the hotels, the advertisement. You guys have invested heavily, like so much when it comes to tourism. I'm not saying that in Uganda we haven't invested in tourism, but you guys have really invested heavily, like so much. I was doing a couple of research a few weeks ago while I visited Galleria Mall. That is along, I'm forgetting the road, but Galleria Mall, the road that goes to Currency, something like that. And I was reading a blog post about how much investment has been put into the Kenyan tourism and how much profit return is bounced back into the economy. That money is crazy. That money, those are billion Kenyan shillings. Actually, tourism, it has to be, I think, the top thing that Kenya really gets a lot of its money from, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But also in Uganda, we do a little bit of tourism. It's not that we only have bad Wi-Fi and bad roads. Also do a little bit of tourism. We also do a little bit of tourism. We have the gorilla trekking. We have Queen Elizabeth National Park. Even up to now, I'm still baffled by the fact that that national park is called Queen Elizabeth. Why is it even called Queen Elizabeth? But anyway, it is just my mind. Since I was in school, I always wondered Queen Elizabeth National Park, but we have Queen Elizabeth National Park. We have the Rwenzori Mountain. We have a couple of other things. There is Chibale Forest, where a lot of where the rate of mount climbing happens. I'm a person who would love to do such activities, but when I'm with someone. But as I am here in Kampala, Uganda, I cannot just pack up my bags and say that I'm going to Western Uganda to do gorilla trekking. I can't even think about it. But regardless, also in Kenya, there are amazing places. You know, people can visit Mombasa. I'm coming this December. Yes, I'm very excited about that. There is Diani Beach and a couple of other things that are in Kenya. Mount Kenya itself, the Masai Mara, a lot of different options. Also, when it comes to Kenya as a country compared to the tourism here in Uganda. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, it has to be the cost of living. And this has to be objective to me. Now, according to me, I just feel like the cost of living in Kampala, regardless of the fact that some things are heightened up, especially when it comes to quality things, the cost of living in Kampala might be a little bit affordable than Kenya. Compared to what I now coming back here and looking into how much I had to spend compared to how much I had to spend maybe while I'm in Kenya. And this is specific. This is to me, because some people it might be different, but this is to me. In Kenya, transportation is quite very affordable. In Uganda, food is very affordable. So you see what I'm meaning. In Kenya, something might be affordable. In Uganda, it might be expensive. So it's a two-way traffic. But according to me, again, where I am and how I see things, the cost of living here might be a little bit affordable, maybe because I'm a foodie and I enjoy a lot of food and all that. But yeah, compared to both places, I have to say that it might be quite affordable. But also, it bases where you are, because also Kampala, where you rent, where you rent and where you stay, and the people you hang out with influence your cost of living. But again, I'm not saying that they are where it is quite more affordable. So there are also places where it is quite more affordable, but some places it is quite expensive. But according to where I stay, and how I budget up myself, the cost of living might be a little bit affordable to me here compared to Kenya. Because in Kenya now, there are also other perspectives I have to put into place that maybe might take a little bit much more money compared to other things I might, equate myself to. But in summary, I just think that wherever you are, Even when you are in Kenya and you live in Lavington, it means that your cost of living is going to be high. If you are in Kenya and you live in Pipeline, it means that your cost of living might be a little bit affordable. If you are in Kenya and you live in in which other place? In which other place? A couple, maybe a slum kind of area, your cost of living might be even a little bit lower. So it also bases where you are that might contribute to, might contribute to how much you have to spend in order to survive in the Kenyan economy. And I think it is the same thing too when it comes to Kampala. The main advantage with Kampala, it is food. There is a lot of food, like a lot of food, a lot of food. And with a lot of food, it makes it less expensive, less and less expensive. I can get a huge bunch of matoke, like this, a huge bunch of matoke, a full one, like a full one, having over, I don't know how many, matoke when you count one by one, maybe at around, maybe 400 bob. 400 bob, a full one. I'm not saying a slice, I'm not saying 1, 2 bunches, 3 bunches, but a full one and a big one, around 400 bob. So that is how, not cheap, but how affordable food is. And chapatis, when it comes to snacks and sumbusas, all these things are pretty affordable. When it comes to a kilogram of meat, in Kampala, a kilogram of meat, I think also right now it's about what? When you go to a butcher, you can find that it's around maybe 400 bob, 380 bob. So food is still quite affordable here because it is so much. A kilogram of posho, what you guys call unga, a kilogram of unga here, look at about because it's about 1,800 Ugandan shillings, which is about, let me see, 30, maybe around 60 bob, something like that. So food is so much in Kampala, so that Kampala gives it an edge advantage when it comes to cost of living, and specifically when it comes to food. Now, other things like entertainment and things that you usually spend money on, shopping and medication, things like that. I would also say that Kenyan medical health, it's quite expensive. Even their pharmacies, your chemists, they hype those drugs. Those drugs are very expensive. I was wondering a strip of metronidazole, what is called as fragile, when someone has a stomach ache or a stomach problem. That strip of Panadol, that strip of fragile, some chemist was telling me that it is, let me see, she told me was what? Let me see. She told me was what? 60 bob, something like that. I think she told me it was 60. Yeah, I think she told me that thing was 60 bob. One strip of fragile, which has like 10 tablets. That is pretty expensive. In Uganda, that strip of fragile goes for maybe what? 10 bob, around 10 bob. But also I understand that sometimes the quality, the quality of, the manufacturer of the fragile might differ a little bit. But compared to what I've seen, your healthcare is quite expensive, especially those chemists. They are making a lot of money from you. I don't know why, if the city county government is seeing, I don't know if they have to set prices for those drugs, but those drugs are very, very crazy expensive. They are expensive compared to the prices on ground here. Then also, I think you guys have a consultation of around 1,000 Kenyan shillings or 800 Kenyan shillings for whenever a patient comes in, even before they get treatment into those chemist or lab areas. It is absolutely okay, but in Uganda, when you go into a clinic or what you guys call chemists, there isn't that fee. There is that fee when it comes to bigger hospitals. Like, for example, you are visiting Kampala International Hospital, maybe you are visiting the Doctors Hospital, Seguku. Those are some of the good hospitals we have here. Maybe you are visiting which other hospital? A couple of them, Nakasero Hospital. Nakasero means a basket, by the way. Nakasero Hospital, maybe you are visiting a couple of those, then expect to pay a fee of around 1,000 bob. But these other chemists, it always baffles my mind, especially when I go to a chemist and they tell me that the consultation fee is 800 bob. It is okay, but it is, it baffles my mind a little bit. But treatment in Nairobi is generally expensive. But mind you, I'm a VMMC nurse, voluntary medical male circumcision nurse, and most of the time I love popping into clinics. while I'm in Nairobi, I remember I went to Utawala Githunguri, and I went to that mall where there is a Naivas near Astral, just before you have left Astral towards Naivas. And I just randomly entered there and asked the guy, my name is this, I want to book for a circumcision surgery, how much would that cost and all that. Now, the circumcision surgery is pretty expensive in Nairobi, and that's not the only hospital I asked, mind you. But the guy told me you'll have to pay 11,000 Kenyan shillings. 11,000 Kenyan shillings. Now, that was a pretty small kind of facility, where you expect every person who can afford healthcare to come in. But again, I got an opportunity while I was doing a video that was finishing up clinics and medical centers and chemists and specialties around Nairobi Hospital. That video will be coming up very soon. It is one of the videos I filmed last before I came back home. But I got an opportunity to ask some of them. I just pop in there because I told you I'm a VMMC nurse and I want to know how systems run in that country. So I popped into a specialty. It was like a medical center, at around about a few kilometers away from 88. And I told him, oh, my name is this and this. I want to schedule for a VMMC surgery. How much would that cost? So the guy told me 15,000 Kenyan shillings. So that is also pretty expensive. Pretty expensive. The reason why I'm saying so, maybe because I don't know that the instruments they are using, they are sterilized from Mars. I don't know. Maybe, the local anesthesia they are going to use, it's got from the United States of America. But for the similar surgeries here in Kampala, Uganda, they would not exceed 70,000 Ugandan shillings. 70,000 Ugandan shillings, it is like 2,000 bob. 2,000 bob. Now, also, I was talking to a friend and he was like, oh, maybe because they have your accent and they try to heighten the prices. And I was like, maybe, but it wouldn't have happened twice that I asked in Utawala Githunguri. Then I also asked in around the Nairobi hospital, those specialties that are there, medical centers, and all of them started 10,000 Kenyan shillings. So I really didn't know about that, but your prices are pretty high. Pretty high. And also, I've heard of very, very horror stories when it comes to people working in those chemists. And I'm not here to put down any chemist or whatever the case may be, but I just hope that the Nairobi City County government, they look into this. They look into this. I had very bad horror stories about those chemists. So be quite careful, especially when you're getting healthcare from them, just be curious, just be careful at the end of the day. Yeah, so that was health wise. I just feel like in Nairobi, health is a little bit expensive compared to Kampala. Maybe before even I leave the health point, I would say that in Uganda, for example, where I am right now, I don't need to carry whatever I have. As long as I feel a fever, I feel a general body malaise, general body weakness, I'll just walk into a health facility around my place here. Around my place here, there is a health center for, I believe. It is called Kawoto Health Center for. It's actually a place I practiced in a couple of years ago. But I just moved into Kawoto right now as I am. I tell them I have a fever. They'll take my blood. They'll give me drugs. I'll see the doctor for free and all that. But in Kenya, I did learn you guys you have to present your ID. After presenting your ID, there is a particular fee you have to pay in case you don't have SHA and all that. So it is pretty quite different, and I feel like also it is quite hard for, especially now I'm looking at a person like myself who is into Kenya, maybe not legally, and I'm not saying that I was there illegally, but maybe not legally, and I get a suja, I get a fever, I get a suja, we call it a suja. A suja means a fever. I get a suja. So going into the clinic, they ask for my ID and I'm not Kenyan. Like, I'm wondering all about those different things. Then also, while I was doing Muthaiga North, that neighborhood, a few weeks ago, there is AAA Hospital, AAA Hospital, which is just opposite to Karura Forest. So I went inside there because I wanted to ask them, now, what is the process of attaining an insurance and all that? And the lady explained to me, but it was quite hard. Yeah, the reason why it was quite hard, now the bureaucracy came in. Now you have to make sure that you are here legally. I'm here legally. Now you have to make sure that you either have a work permit or a job. You have to make sure that this and like it was just, they were just making it complicated. Yeah? And I was like, oh, okay, because for me now, also I'm trying to gather information that might help me in a long run. Yeah, but it was quite complicated. It was just like when I went to the bank. I was at Yaya Center and I went to the bank. And I'll not say the bank, but I went to the bank because I wanted to know what are the proceedings of foreigners getting accounts in Kenya. Because transferring money from Uganda to Kenya is expensive. Like they cut you every time you swipe that card, 500 bob gone. Not only 500 bob. 500 bob has to be deducted. They deduct another 25 bob, I don't know for what tax. They deduct another 10 bob, I don't know for what tax. Then the final cost would usually come up to maybe 680. Just swiping the card to withdraw money from KCB, you know. But regardless, health wise, I just feel like in Kenya it is pretty expensive compared to back here in Kampala, Uganda. That is my own opinion. That is my own opinion. Also, the other thing I would say that, oh my God, health has a lot of points. But the other point I would say, the first time I came to Nairobi in May, we got some issues. Nef had some issues, and we had to rush her into the hospital. But that bill was over. That bill was over $500. That bill was over $500. That is at Akan University Hospital. That is also pretty high to manage an asthmatic patient. I don't know if the salbutamol they were using was from Mars. I don't know the hydrocortisone they used, if it was from a particular state in New Jersey. It was from New Jersey or something like that. But that was high. That was really high. And I'm taking notes. That's why I'm really making this. So for Ugandans traveling there, make sure that you consult. If you are employed, make sure that you have your insurance and make calls. Make sure that your insurance can cover some of these things, because you'll get sick from there and you'll have to call home, sell your plot of land so that you can pay those bills. Yeah. What else? What else? Shopping wise, I think it also goes both ways. Yeah, it goes both ways. Now, I love reading and I'm a very good reader. Well, as in Kenya, I didn't do a lot of reading because I was specifically there to create content. But occasionally, before I sleep, I would go through my Kindle and try to read a couple of books and all that. But I love this book of Think. What is it? Think Big, not Think Big. The magic of thinking big. The magic of thinking big. I love that book, and it emphasized buying quality over quantity. So I'm a guy who likes to buy one good shirt like this, even though it's 5,000 bob. I buy one good shirt like this. I know it's gonna last me for the next 3 years. So I'm that kind of guy, and I got that through reading, especially that book. It set a pace for me. So I mean, I'm in Kenya. Also, it is the same thing. I really try, even though I buy one thing like this, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna take me for some 5 years to come. That's the thing I'm going to buy. Now, Kenyan things, especially good quality ones, are not that cheap. Hey, they are not that cheap. They are not that cheap. But again, if you're a guy like me who really likes to invest in things that are gonna take me for a long ride, then it is absolutely okay. Why not, invest in them? But shopping wise, make sure that you calculate very well. Calculate very well. I'm a guy of budget. Though while I'm in Kenya, my budget was over the head because, it was my first time out of the country and I was trying to manage home. I had this place to rent. I had to pay utilities. I had to pay the security. Like, it was a lot. But again, you have to fall where you belong, If you don't have the budget of buying cloth in maybe Woolworth, you can go for another cheaper option. I saw very many second-hand clothes shops, and actually I bought there a pair of pants in black. It was 200 bob. It was so good. It is still so good. I bought it in Pipeline. There is a shop I found down there. It is called Think Twice. Yeah, Think Twice, Think. Twice Think or Think Twice. I found a shop in Pipeline and it was selling those clothes, and I was from this particular Catholic church, that road from the Catholic church. I was there, and then I saw it and I said, let me just go in and maybe see something. I bought that pant. It is really good, and I know it's gonna take me for another long ride. But what I'm trying to say is that if you don't have the money, both ways, you can go for Woolworth or else Waikiki, but buy a quality thing, but it's gonna cost an arm and a leg. But in case you don't have the money, there are also other options for you. Yeah, in Kenya. The same thing applies here in Uganda. Now, this time around, while I was in Kenya, I didn't get an opportunity to go to Gikomba, Muthura market, all those markets. But maybe next time when I come, we shall arrange with Wekesa. Wekesa is a good friend of mine. He's also a YouTuber. If you don't follow him, please go follow him. Maybe we shall arrange with him and he takes me there, because I saw that he made a video about both of those markets and see the prices of second-hand clothes. But also in Kampala, we have those options of the second-hand clothes, Wino market, quite also affordable, almost the same price when you compare it to Kenya, almost the same prices I saw in a couple of second-hand shops. Yeah, shoes, the same thing. You just decide where you fall, and you'll get, where you fall in a very smooth way. But cost wise, I think this one is my personal objective. Again, I would go in for Kenya because of the quality things I did see. I'm not saying in Uganda we don't import quality things, we import them, but remember that they go through Kenya, meaning that they have an added tax. Yeah, so it's better. Actually, it is much better if you are going to be buying a camera, you are going to be buying clothes, especially good quality clothes. You are going to be buying maybe a watch, you are investing in a phone, you are investing in something like that. To just buy everything in Kenya. I'm not saying you buy in bulk. When you buy in bulk, there is also custom. You'll have to pay taxes. But if you are going to buy for your own benefit, just buy it in Kenya because it will be much better quality compared to a few brands you'll find here in Kampala. Also, here in Kampala, you don't have very, very many brands when it comes to brands that make good quality clothes, especially for men. Now I'm on men. Especially for men, in Kampala, we don't have the best quality. We have the best quality here, but it's gonna be thrice the amount, which is in Nairobi, Kenya. So what I've decided to do, even while I was there, the small shopping I did, I made sure that I buy the good quality ones that I know they are gonna take me for some good time without worrying about, at this coming back to Uganda, buying a pair of pants thrice the amount I would have bought it in Nairobi, Kenya. So that is it for that. The other point, which actually is still also under cost of living, I would say it is enjoyment and partying and all that. Both places, they have enjoyment and partying, but I just feel like Kenya has a variety. Now, the reason why I'm saying Kenya has a variety is that the system has been designed to separate or decentralize enjoyment kind of areas to almost every other place. For example, Thika, they are enjoyment places. In CBD, the enjoyment places. Mombasa Road, they are enjoyment places. When you go to Ngong Road, they are enjoyment places, which is quite very, very small compared to Kampala. Now, in Kampala, you can find that all amazing places that people can go to, they're in one place. So everyone has to travel from wherever they are coming from to that one particular place, which is really, really sad. I don't like it. I really don't. Because I realized during Christmas seasons, this Entebbe Road here that leads to the airport, like the Entebbe Road, it has a lot of enjoyment places here in Kampala, Uganda. And what I'm saying is that you end up seeing people all over, all those districts, Wakiso, Mukono, all over coming to, Gangon to Ngong Road, because all the entertainment options are along Entebbe Road, So that is not cool. I don't like it. I just hope that business, owners and entrepreneurs can see that and try to, centralize. And I'm saying not every place they aren't, but the famous ones, which are really good, they are really in one place. But in Kenya, I realized that every other place, it has its own enjoyment kind of, if there are pubs, if there are, parks, if it is food spots, if it is malls, if it is, every place, it is organized in that particular perspective. Talking about malls, thank you very much, guys, by the way. I really thank the person who wrote for me a list of malls in Nairobi, Kenya. Congratulations to me. I visited almost half of those malls, or if not 3/4 of those malls. But now, comparing to Kampala, Uganda, you guys have very many malls. You guys have very, very many malls. And especially the malls along the Limuru Road. Ooh, those malls are giving luxury. Remember that they are already in the suburbs, the Village Market Mall, the Rosaline Rivelia. Oh God, it slides off my tongue. I love the word delicious, but Rosaline Rivelia, the way how it slides off my tongue, it is giving delicious. One of my favorite words ever, like in the English language, it is delicious. But along the Limuru Road, they are beautiful malls. I love them, Two Rivers Mall, the Village Market Mall. I got an opportunity, that is actually along Limuru, that is Gigiri. Two Rivers, I think it is in Gigiri, if I'm not mistaken. But I got an opportunity to visit most of those malls, malls along Thika Road, The Garden City Mall, I love that mall so much. Most of the shopping I did for my family, my mom, my dad, and a few siblings, I got those things from the Garden City Mall. And if you haven't visited it, get time. Or wait for me when I come back, send me an email, we go there together. I love that mall, the Garden City Mall. It is also screaming luxury. It has a Chinese shop, it is called Panda Mart. Oh God, those things are affordable. Oh God, those things are affordable. When you see things I bought, that video will also come up very soon. The things I bought for my mom, my dad, friends, and people I had to buy gifts for, those things were affordable. But let me tell you, if I was to buy those things in Kampala, because we are a landlocked country, those things, for example, a cup I did buy for my mom. She wanted these Stanley cups. Obviously, I didn't buy her the original Stanley Cup. I don't have that money, but it's something that resembles the Stanley Cup. But that thing was 1,200 bob, 1,200 bob. But in Kampala, that thing goes for about, I think, 5,000 bob. It goes for 5,000. And mind you, it's just a dummy, not the original one, the dummy one. So I was really very happy that she got what she wanted. And other people, I did buy them, the same things, but not the same things, but things of the same quality that we would actually get in Kampala that would cost an arm and a leg. By the way, when you come into the live stream, don't forget to like the live stream. It really does help. My name is Tanya. The like button is around here or here. Ugandan content creator, currently in Kampala, Uganda. 2 weeks time, I'm traveling to Kigali, Rwanda. I can't wait to actually be in Kigali. The life I'm living right now is the life I dreamt of. So I dreamt of also going to Kigali. So I'm very excited about that. So please subscribe. Subscribe so that you can come along all through the hassles of internet. By the time I started this live stream, the internet was bad, but now it is pretty okay. But I appreciate every person who has stuck around and enjoyed the conversation, But regardless, yeah, I've been to almost all those malls, Galleria Mall. Also, actually, around Galleria Mall, there is a Panda Mart, just near the Brooklyn School, International School. There is also a Panda Mart. Such an amazing, amazing place. I've been to the Hub Mall. Now, the Hub Mall is screaming luxury because of being in a neighborhood of Karen, especially currency and green Karen, something like that. It is really screaming luxury, the Hub Mall. If you haven't been there, fix time or write down, go there. Also, this list, one Kenyan friend watched my video and wrote me the list and told me, Tanya, make sure that you visit all these malls, So I went there, but the Hub Mall is also screaming luxury. But what I'm trying to say is this. Mall-wise and entertainment places and places to chill and food courts and all that, Kenya wins. Kenya wins maybe because of the bigger population and also because of a lot of Western world influence. It wins. In Uganda, I don't have all those malls. Like where I am, my good Lord. I don't want to put my country on a blast. But where I am, we have one mall like this. And mind you, it is just... it's just a distance of 20 bobs from where I am to Kampala city center. So we have one mall. The other malls are on the other side in other divisions of Kampala. For example, the Arena Mall, which is new, Freedom City Mall. So I don't want to put my country on a blast, but just know in that section, you guys do win. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about is what cost of living. I've talked about food. I did talk about, the rent. Did I talk about rent? I think I've talked about rent over time. I just feel like rent in Nairobi, it's very, very affordable. So I was traveling to Kampala and someone was in my live stream telling me, Tanya, I want to travel to Kenya. I think he was a Uganda. I want to travel to Kenya. Advise me where I can stay. And I told him up front, regardless of the fact that accommodation in Nairobi is quite affordable, but be very careful of the place where you choose your accommodation to be. I've seen stories where people have traveled to Mombasa and they have been robbed. Cameras, iPhones, everything, shoes, and these things have no mercy. So I was just telling them, just be curious and be careful, regardless of the fact that Airbnbs are affordable and all. I don't know why, but I don't just like Airbnbs. I don't like them. I would rather rent out a place or stay with a friend. I don't know why. But Airbnbs have a lot of issues. I've read very, very many horror stories when it comes to Airbnbs, especially Airbnb owners or hosts collaborating with thieves in order to steal from people. Maybe until when I experience a good Airbnb, but the stories I've had have really, really killed my interest when it comes to Airbnbs. So I've advised that person to, when they come into Nairobi, stay in a hotel. In case you can, just stay in a hotel, restaurant, in case you can. Airbnbs are good, but stay in an Airbnb that has been recommended by a friend you trust. Because also Nairobians, there is Nairobari, regardless of the fact we love Nairobi, there is Nairobari, and that's why if you have interacted with me on a lot of, if you have interacted with me, like from phone or social media, you know that it's not quite easy for me to meet someone, especially from the internet. We first have conversations. Sometimes even I end up video calling you to make sure that you are legit before I meet you, because Nairobi is not for the weak. There is Nairobi. You can meet someone and they can have a gang up on you, take whatever you have. So I was just telling them, be careful. Airbnbs, first of all, cross them off. If you can get hotels, get hotels. If you can get apartments, the better. But some place I would recommend you to stay in, especially if you are going to be staying for 3 months or 2 months. I loved Pipeline, and someone might say, Tanya, why Pipeline? Now, Pipeline, it is described as a concrete slum, but the reason why I love, and mind you, I lived in Utawala, Githunguri, I lived in Pipeline, I've lived in Parklands, I've lived in Kiambu. I also love Kiambu, but Kiambu is best for you in case you have someone who you know there, because now those people don't speak Swahili often. They speak a lot of Kikuyu in a good way, not in a bad way, like they speak Kikuyu. I've been to Kiambu, I've lived in Kiambu, I've lived in Feather Estate. But again, according to me, Pipeline stands out. The reason why Pipeline stands out is that not because of the fancy accommodation, but because of the people. Oh God. Pipeline has many people. It has very many people, guys, yeah? That the economy is 24 hours. Have you heard of an economy? A city where the economy, a town where the economy is 24 hours. You can get out at 2 a.m. and those people are still, their shops are still open. People are very many moving in and out and in and out. That is Pipeline for you. That's what I love most about Pipeline, and I think I would settle there. And also their accommodation for a little while, especially if I'm, doing these things of travel and recording videos and all that. I would be there for some time in Pipeline. I loved it. And also the accommodation is pretty affordable, This time around, I missed making videos with Wekesa about, touring bed sitters, single rooms and double rooms. But the accommodation starts from around 8,000 Kenyan shillings, which is pretty affordable, all the way to 12,000 Kenyan, 12,000? Yeah, 1,200 Kenyan shillings. So it is pretty affordable. Because the people are many, the rate of crime is a little bit low. I'm not saying that the rate of crime is low, zero, no. But the rate of crime is a little bit low in Pipeline because of very many people. Now, can you steal, especially maybe if you are just pickpocketing and someone doesn't see you, but in case they see you, mama, Kenyans are tough. They don't want thieves. Mwizi, they call them mwizi. They beat your ass up. So that's one thing I really loved about Paipu. Paipu is one of those places that you get onto the street, you have street food. They have a lot of street food. I love initially I didn't like street food because of my tummy, because it reacts most of the time. But since I've been there now for some time, I was enjoying a lot of zikarai. I was enjoying a lot of, especially evenings, a lot of those sausages with kachumbari. And also their sumbusas are quite affordable. Sumbusas at Java House, they run for 60 bob. And I'm not saying this comparison in a bad way, but I've had sumbusas from Java House. They never tasted good for me. They are like 60 bob, 60, 70, or even 100 bob, even at Carrefour. They are not... You wouldn't get that good feeling of a good sumbusa you would have bought from Pipeline. Those guys in Pipeline, I don't know why they put in their sumbusas. They are small like this, but they are screaming delicious. As I told you, one of my favorite words ever is delicious. I like the way how it rolls off my tongue. Delicious, delicious, But regardless, I really liked Pipeline, and I would advise, why not? There is a couple of accommodation in Pipeline. even for guest houses. I did see guest houses. Actually, I don't know why, but I feel like it would be safer for you to sleep in a secure guest house than an Airbnb. I don't know. These are my thoughts. I'm about to do more research about Airbnbs, but I've seen a lot of horror stories about Airbnbs that I wouldn't recommend anyone to actually sleep in them. One of my neighbors just came back. Regardless, yeah, but in Paipu, there are also guest houses that, in case you just come into Nairobi, go to which stage is that? OTC. You can go to OTC. As the Nairobians are quite very open. Ask them you are going to Paipu. They will show you that the matatus that go there. Or in case you have money for Uber, just use Uber, go there. You know, it's quite a safe place, secure place. I really liked it. I really did like it. And interaction with people was also fun. So that is the first place I would advise them to live. The second place would be Utawala. Now, the reason why I loved Utawala, it is the security also, because it is just opposite to the general service unit, and the place is not so much populated, but you get a feel of being in the modern, not so modern, but modern, not like modern but not so modern. You know, you get that feeling of being in a very secure neighborhood. Most of the courts have security guards, so in case you're a person who belongs to that vibe, and I'm saying this because I know people around my age, the Gen Z, we can enjoy pipeline, but my dad, around almost 50 years, I don't think he can settle in pipeline. No, you know. So that it is for people young as me, but in case you're a little bit older and you need, you know, there are other places, there are other good places. Utawala Githunguri, I really liked it. I stayed there for some good time with Gabriel. And what other place I would actually advise him to live in? I think it would be Parklands, and for Parklands, I would advise him because of how not secure, but like it's more of an upper-ended kind of community, but a little bit expensive. Yeah, a little bit expensive. The apartment we stayed in for the 5 days, we were there with my friends. We paid $220 for 5 days. $220. So you can do the math. And it was a 2-bedroom house with a living space, balcony area, dining area, kitchen area. Yeah, it was pretty expensive, but in case you have the money, you can always, I used booking.com. Allowed to teach yourself how to use booking.com. It will help you a lot. Booking.com. They also actually right now schedule flights. So yeah, you can be able to do a lot of your research, check out Pipeline, check out Parklands, and see what options they have on there for you. Yeah. So continuing with the differences, I think I've talked about very well cost of living. I've really tried to break down almost everything when it comes to the cost of living between Kenya and Uganda. Yeah. The other point now, when it comes to the key difference, I did realize as a Ugandan who traveled to Kenya, it has to be between the hospitality levels. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this independently because it is something I realized that Kenyans are like trained from birth to know how to treat guests. In Uganda, we also treat guests very well, but it feels like these people are just trained from birth to make sure that you treat a guest right. When you treat them right, they'll come back. Yeah? Something like that, you know. And I've been talking about this forever, and you guys already know Kenyans are very welcoming. A Kenyan can leave whatever they are doing and they take you to the bus station, because I've had those experiences. I've had police officers, you know, leave whatever they are doing, follow around me till when they reach me to the bus station. Not even hand me over to the conductor, but reach me to the bus station, tell the conductor, this guy is alighting off from Talanta Stadium. Make sure he alights off at Talanta Stadium. So that is how deep these guys are. So I just feel like the hospitality levels are quite high in Kenya, especially to foreigners. Yeah, to foreigners. I don't know to native Kenyans if this is the same way they treat each other, but to foreigners, that is one thing I did see. In Uganda, we treat also foreigners pretty well and we are pretty hospitable, but I would say that the hospitality of Kenyans really is unrefutable. It's really unrefutable. They can take care of you and you think you are a king. Yeah, they can take care of you and you think that, my good Lord. And that is one thing that has really prompted me to really rethink about maybe waiting for a whole year, come back, do my diploma there. Yeah, it is something that I'm still thinking about, still collecting a lot of information on. As I told you, I'll have, at the end of the month, I'll have an appointment at the Kenyan consulate here in Uganda. They told me to go with all my documents, original documents for school. Yeah, so I'll be giving you an update on that. But that is one thing that is prompting me, the hospitality. I'm not saying that they aren't bad tomatoes, but the hospitality generally it's pretty good. Like today, yesterday while I was coming back from Kenya, I reached the bus station and I asked one guy at the bus station here in Uganda, a Ugandan, and I asked him, "Oh, good morning. Where can I?" He was like, "What is happening to this one?" He even never replied to me. But then I remembered, oh God, I'm back in Uganda. Oh God, I know these people. Some of them, they have not had food. Some of them have family issues. But that would have never happened to me while I was in Kenya. I'm pretty sure. If in case I ask someone, where is this bus? Where is this, bus going to? Oh God, they are very, very free and open to help. Yeah. So hospitality wise, I think I give it to Kenya. Kenyans have been very, very hospitable to me, and I can't complain at all. Regardless, I can't complain at all. At all. They have been really so good to me, and hospitality wise, I think I give it to them. Yeah. So we are still on the differences between Kampala, not even Kampala, but between Uganda and Kenya as a whole. The other thing I want to talk about, guys, it is the business module. And because I did some research about this, I just feel like Kenya is failing Ugandans. Yes, yes, yes. The Kenyan system is failing Ugandans, and yet we have the East African community. Kenyans are very many here in Uganda doing businesses freely, and they can vividly trade and do whatever they do. They have bought land in Tororo, they have bought land elsewhere, they have built, the system in Uganda favors them a lot to start up businesses. But in Kenya, for Ugandan, oh good Lord, all the stories I've heard, the blog posts I've read, the articles I've read, it is still tight there. I don't know why. And yet, while I was starting this live stream, I told you guys we are the same people. We are the same people. So I don't know why the system of Kenya is trying to fail Ugandans. It is very absolutely sad. Business-wise, this is not all in all, but business-wise, it is quite hard to get work permits. It is quite hard to get business licenses, especially when they know that you are not Kenyan. They try to just elongate, and the bureaucracy is like bureaucracy. I don't know about that. That's why I'm always, telling Kenyans, be appreciative of your country, because what you have, a lot of people even are just dreaming of acquiring it. Just be grateful of your country, keep your country safe, keep your country clean. Yeah, like just keep your country, because a lot of us are admiring it. But a lot of Ugandans, my dear, the stories I've heard, oh God, oh dear, those permits, it's a tug of war to get them. Especially officials, there are some officials there at the Nairobi City County government that they told me they don't joke around. This one I'm saying in slow motion, they don't joke around. They need a lot of money from these Ugandans to give them licenses, and I don't know why. Anyway, that is it. The business model wise, it is quite hard, because all these business owners I did interact with, I met a Ugandan with a retail shop. I met a Ugandan with an art crafts shop. I met a Ugandan. There is that market that is near OTC. There's that market that is near OTC. I'm forgetting it. As you come in from Thika Road, there is a market there. I met a Ugandan too there who was selling a few things in a small container place, drinks and all that. But the stories are not so good. It feels like it is quite hard to really attain those licenses, and I hope that the Nairobi City County government, they really rethink about that. Yeah, they really rethink about that. I'm looking that side because my neighbors might be, entering. Regardless, yeah, I think the business module, Kenyan-wise, it is quite hard for Ugandans compared to, Kenyans who are here have never heard of that before. Yeah, but remember, we are all East Africans, and things should try to merge out a little bit. Yeah, let's just try to merge out a little bit. There are a few kids. I don't know why they are shouting. Why are you shouting? Ashim is here. Ashim, come say hello. Come here. Come and say hello to the people. Come say hello. You guys remember my cousin? Say hello. Hello. This is the guy in the Chogero video. So they are around, They are around visiting, Say hello. Hello. Okay, bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye. Yeah, so you guys, that is it. I feel like this video has already been long, and I feel like I've been able to share almost everything I wanted to share. That boy, when you go search my video, some of the trading videos I have, that boy is the one. He has grown up. It has been over 4-5 years, so he has grown up. Yeah, but they are going right now. They had visited here the whole day. Yeah, so that is it, guys. I feel like I've been able to exploit some of the points I find quite different when you compare to Kampala and Nairobi. Not Kampala, Uganda and Kenya. For Nairobi and Kampala, I'll do a separate video about it. Yeah. Okay, bye. Yeah, so they were visiting, they have gone. But anyway, guys, that is it. What other difference I really wanted to talk about? What other difference? I think that is it for now. I'll make sure that I do a part 2, then share some differences I did find, especially now in the city. In the city. I'll make sure that I do a video and talk about those things I did find in the city, which were quite different comparing Kampala and Nairobi. I'll make sure I do that video. But for now, I think that is okay. Let me know what you think of this video. I know after a lot of people will be rewatching it. Let me know what you think of it. I'll do a part 2 in a steady environment where I'll do actually tomorrow evening around the same time. Since we have known that this balcony area of mine is the only place that has internet, I'll just come back here, make sure that I do that video, do my research very well, and give you that video in full gear. Yeah. As we continue grieving Baba, yes, by the way, Baba passed on, if you don't know. Lyra Odinga, I've made a few videos already, my tribute video and things I've learned from his life as a person. I'll leave it also linked in the description box below. But in case you're interested, you can go watch those videos. But as we still grieve Baba, I want us to grieve in a format that we know what Baba would have appreciated most. As Kenyans, would he have appreciated us to destroy things? As Kenyans, would he have appreciated us to break into people's businesses? As Kenyans, would have appreciated us to kill our own fellow citizens? As Kenyans, would have appreciated us to to grieve him through crying and devastation than celebrating him? Those are some of the points I want to leave you, my Kenyan brothers out there, as an aspiring Kenyan. Those are the points I want to leave you. All of us are still in grieving. I've seen the Ugandan Kenyan community. They have also today met. I saw them on Instagram. They met at a particular place in Bukoto to grieve Baba. I was unable to go there, but yeah, it was there are a couple of them there, Kenyans living in Uganda, to celebrate his life and all that. But regardless, let's continue grieving in peace. Tomorrow will be Saturday. He will be buried on Sunday. I'll try to come as much live as I can to give my honest opinions about different things that have been going on. I've done my thorough research when it comes to why we Kenyans are actually grieving Baba so much. And I've gone through all the history from the 1960s, from Jomo Kenyatta being the first president, and his father, the father to Mzee Raila Odinga, Jaramogi, what led to their separation, how did they end up in Nyayo Stadium, what happened from Nyayo Stadium that led him to travel to Kampala, Uganda in 1992. I've read all that history and I have it at my fingertips. So for people who will be quite interested in it, tomorrow I'll be going live, I think not pretty early in the morning. I'll make sure that the functions are done. Then probably I'll come back and discuss all that. But I've made some thorough research, and right now I even love Baba more than even before I knew him in 2007. Mind you, I came to know Baba in 2007, post the election violence that happened, which was really so bad. But regardless, I'll make sure that I come back, make that video. Please subscribe to me. I'm excited to go to Rwanda. You don't know how I wish I can open up my Pinterest vision board and show you guys I'm living the life I dreamt of. Oh God, oh God. I dreamt about going to Kenya. I dreamt about going to Kigali, Rwanda. I dreamt about going to South Africa. I haven't been to South Africa, but I'm hoping and praying that in case that thing doesn't happen this year, at least next year I travel to South Africa. South Africa has been on my vision board for the longest. I think since 20, okay, I don't know if I should say that, yeah. Oprah doesn't usually advise to say that, yeah, but I'll say that, yeah. Since 2020, South Africa has been on my vision board, but I'm hopeful that I'll also reach there because with God, everything is possible. With God, everything is possible, and I walk in faith. But please subscribe to me. I'm going to Kigali, Rwanda. I'm very excited about that trip. Oh God, oh dear. I'm very excited about that trip. Initially, I wanted to spend there 1 week, 2 weeks, but it will base. It will base how I'll find the environment. I might be there for a few days. I'm trying to still make connections on ground, like Rwandese YouTubers, so that they can help me, guide me places to visit, places to do this, places to do that. I'm very excited. So please subscribe, watch the videos, because whenever I watch the videos, it means I can make more money to sustain me. I want to thank every person who has actually sent in a little bit of contribution through M-Pesa. You guys are amazing. Some of you guys have met you in person and you have blessed me with Kenyan shillings and dollars. May the Almighty bless you. You are facilitating most of this trip, and I'm just so grateful and happy for that. Yeah, so I think I've rambled enough. It is already 10:50. Yeah, it is 10:50. Do you see this? It is 10:50. I don't want to keep you guys awake so much, and I want to get out, maybe grab something to eat. Yeah, my sister has been around with Hashim, but they have went. I told them to go with all the food because I just wanted a snack this evening, and I knew that food would get spoiled. So I'm going to just move out the supermarket along Etebe Road, grab something to eat or drink, just snacks. And let me meet you in tomorrow's live stream. I'm becoming a full-time live streamer. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So yeah, let me meet you guys in another live stream. Tanya and Shylock switching. Now people are continuing to come. Tanya is finishing the live stream. 6 people in the building. Okay, when you come into the live stream, at least like the live stream before I go. Like the live stream before I go, and make sure you subscribe to the channel because more content is coming. Yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the live stream. But regardless, yeah, that is it, guys. Let me meet you in tomorrow's live stream. Tomorrow we shall have 2 live streams, one in the afternoon and one around this time. Yeah, and I'll come up with a topic, the interesting topics that I know will be pretty important to share, and you guys would enjoy them pretty much. Yeah, bye for now.